St. Louis, let's go to school. Facebook, I don't have the rights to this music. Don't shut me down, Facebook. I'm trying my best to get people to understand that we've never understood.
Just because
we must work hard in this season to begin to understand what we never understood. Unfortunately, we've thought that we had an indication of what life was, but yet we failed to realize you've been following deception. The deception is a distorted view. In other words, what you perceive to be true, unfortunately, is not true. But based on the strength of your mind is determining what you see. In other words, the stronger your mind, the more you're able to see. However, if the mind is decaying every day, the mind is dying. But you don't think it's dying because you just think you're getting old. The cells are literally mutating, making bad copies of themselves. In other words, you have a genetic error in your cellular system, but yet you can't do anything about the error because you have not the power to know that it's greater than what you know. That's one of the reasons we eventually came up with hospitals to correct the error. But we've been trying to correct the error from the day we were born. Think about retardation, different types of infirmities and diseases even before you come out of the womb. Some children are born with all kinds of side effects. And many of you think that must be God's will. How can that be God's will when they come out unable to communicate, unable to walk and talk? That's not God's will. Many of you don't know who God is. You're looking at God as a person. God is not a person. God is a perfected sound. And the reason we've not yet been able to understand His truth is because we haven't been able to understand the importance of us becoming that perfect sound. We drive to and from, going everywhere, trying to go to work, trying to go to school, trying to do the things to complement the world system, but yet you fail to realize you never became who you are predestined to become. You are predestined to become what you've been seeking to find, and that is God. Many of you are thinking, what is Walter talking about now? God is a perfect sound, minus blemish, minus friction, minus heat. I want you all to think for a moment. Just think. I want you to imagine a set of vice grips. You know, vice grips back in the day. Vice grips. I want you to close those vice grips as hard as you can and don't allow the vice grips to open. And imagine the vice grips never opening. Never. They never opened. And the pressure to continue to keep the vice grips closed continued to maintain. So in other words, it's like a prison. You can't change the grip. So as a result, you're going to continue to lose power because the more you haven't reached perfection, the more the grip grips even more until you have no more breath. And as a result of having no more breath, they in turn consider you deceased. But what happens if you can reach a perfect sound and change the grip? If you can change the grip, you can create a perpetual motion machine that's taking power outside the system that has the grip. And as a result of changing the grip, you're now reversing the laws of thermodynamics, entropy, chaos, and disorder. And as a result of reversing the laws of thermodynamics, chaos, and disorder, you will begin to slow down time because you literally loosen the grip. The grip is just information and data. And as a result of releasing yourself from the grip, you wouldn't be subject to the diseases and infirmities and chaos and friction and heat. You will now become a new creation because you're no longer in the grips of that darkness. And as time progresses, you're going to break out more and more and more. And before you know it, you're going to reach 11 kilometers per second at the speed of light. And you're going to be in a different parallel world, as they call parallel world, but all is in your mind. Your mind is what's encoding your entire existence. It's your mind. Everything you taste, touch, smell, hear, and see is being encoded, and subsequently it's being visualized or observed based upon you now seeing it. The importance is to reach a developed mind, and then you will see all there is to see face to face. And as a result of seeing it face to face, it will look totally different than what you've been taught. And the reason it will look different is because your mind has now reached the level of the speed of light. Minus friction and heat. Your grave clothes are off. You will now be able to discern that everything that you've been taught, even from religion, was deception. In other words, it was basically understood by a developed mind that never became what it was capable of becoming, but yet it became your teachers. And the blind were unfortunately leading the blind. Many of you have acknowledged the fact that we must die someday. And the reason you acknowledge that fact is because you can't necessarily say you won't die unless you have the power to know that you've exceeded the lie. Because in order to exceed the lie, you have to have the power to be able to make that level of assessment. And once you loosen the grip, you now have removed yourself from the Earth magnetic field, and you brought space at absolute zero, -273, down to Earth. The time is now St. Louis, Chi-Town, Alabama, Georgia, New York, Bahamas. The time is down. Our grandbabies, our children, depending on us. We can do it. We must do it black and white, holding hands, country and country. And trust me, we're smarter than you think. Stay tuned. God bless. You ain't seen that yet. Fearless I am, afraid of nothing. God bless.